Hey guys, I'm Tom the Tech Chap, and this is the new Sony Xperia XZ3. It feels just like yesterday, well, April, that we were talking about the XZ2, but 6 months on, and here we are again. So what's new on the XZ3? Is it any good, and should you consider buying it? So the Xperia XZ3 will set you back £700, or a whopping $900 in the US. And for that, you get a 6-inch Quad HD Plus OLED screen that supports HDR, a Snapdragon 845 processor, 4 gigs of RAM, 64 gigs of storage with room for an SD card, and it comes running the latest Android 9 Pie software. It's also got a few tricks up its sleeve, like being able to record HDR video, 960fps super slow motion at Full HD, dual speakers, and Sony's fancy dynamic vibration system that gives you haptic feedback when watching videos and playing games. Now that all sounds great, but it's not a huge upgrade over the XZ2, which is about £150 less now. The main differences are the bigger and higher resolution OLED screen, slightly thinner bezels, an upgraded selfie camera, and the fact that it ships with Android 9 out of the box. But if those things aren't that important to you, then the now discounted XZ2 may be a better option. But back to the XZ3, and while it's not perfect, I have to say I am really impressed by it. In terms of design, I have kind of a love-hate relationship with it. Picking it up, it does feel premium, it feels well built and comfortable thanks to the rounded corners, but it's also incredibly slippery. Seriously, put a case on this thing to avoid dropping it. The dedicated camera shutter button is a nice extra, but I can feel it dig into my right hand. The fingerprint reader is fast, but it's still uncomfortably low down. I keep tapping the camera lens instead. The good news though is it's IP68 water resistant and it doesn't have a notch. But then again, on the flip side, the bezels are relatively chunky for a 2018 phone. Plus, there's no headphone jack. Overall though, I think it looks good, and it does definitely stand out from the notch crowd. But it's that screen which is really a standout feature. As I say, it's Quad HD Plus, it supports HDR10, which is great for Netflix, and it's Sony's first phone with an OLED screen, which gets you infinite contrast and really vibrant colors. You still have the option to switch between accurate sRGB and vibrant display modes in the settings though. Pair that beautiful 6-inch screen with surprisingly good stereo speakers, and it becomes a great device for watching movies and playing games. But if you want to take it a step further, turn on Sony's dynamic vibration to get some haptic feedback. If I'm honest, I do think it's a bit gimmicky, but keeping it on low does add a bit of oomph to what you're watching or playing, even if it can be a little inconsistent with when it vibrates. Now in terms of performance, it doesn't feel as nippy as say the latest Pixel or OnePlus phones, which are closer to stock Android, but it's still extremely fast and responsive. And I really do prefer Sony's software to Samsung's, LG or Huawei's. You get a few extras too, like SideSense, which to be honest I found more annoying than useful. It's basically the same as HTC's EdgeSense. Tap or squeeze the side of the phone to bring up some app or setting shortcuts. But I kept accidentally opening it, which was frustrating, so I turned this off pretty quickly. Now in terms of battery life, the 3330 mAh cell is slightly bigger than the XZ2, but then again so is the screen, so I actually found battery life to be about the same as before. But that's no bad thing. 1 hour of YouTube at 50% brightness used 11% of the battery, and after 1 hour of YouTube, 1 hour of Asphalt 9 and 1 hour of Instagram, I had 64% of my battery left, which is definitely above average if you compare it to these phones after the same test. So you'll get a little over a day with the XZ3, but not much more, although it does support fast and wireless Qi charging. Now let's talk about the camera. And unlike a lot of 2018 flagships, there is just one lens here, so there's no wide angle or optical zoom options. But it does have some fancy HDR and slow motion tricks, but we'll get to that. The 19 megapixel f2 camera on the XZ3 takes fantastic photos. They're detailed, vibrant while retaining color accuracy, and it handles dynamic range really well. So photos look great in isolation, but how does it compare to, say, the Galaxy Note 9? Well, side by side, I think I actually prefer the XZ3. It seems to offer better dynamic range. For example, the menus in this picture and the flower in this one aren't as blown out on the XZ3 as they are on the Note 9, although an upcoming camera update on the Samsung should improve this. But one of the big upgrades this year on the XZ3 is the front-facing camera, up from 5 megapixels to 13 megapixels, and now with a wider f1.9 aperture. In good light, it takes a fantastic selfie, with impressive colors and exposure. The selfie portrait mode though is less impressive, which kept producing blurry and slightly washed out shots. The Note 9 does look overly smooth, but I prefer it to the XZ3's. Moving on to video, and the XZ3 produces some really crisp and colourful footage. And at 1080p it's super smooth thanks to the intelligent stabilization feature. But unfortunately you don't get this at 4K, so moving up to the high resolution, while it does definitely look more detailed, it's noticeably less smooth. It's still good though, but most other flagships do offer smoother 4K video, and give you the option of 4K 60, which is just something the XZ3 doesn't offer. What you do get though is HDR. Turning this on can cause some stuttering, and next to regular 4K video it does look overexposed and washed out, but assuming you play it back on an HDR compatible screen, and maybe even color correct it in post-production, it's an interesting option to have for content creators. And finally we have super slow motion. The XZ3 can shoot 960 FPS slow-mo at Full HD. But to be honest though, even in very good light, it still looks noisy and just a bit rubbish, and it's virtually unusable in low light. You do still have the option of 120 FPS slow-mo, which is much better quality and just easier to use considering you only get 0.1 seconds of actual footage at 960 FPS. So it's a cool feature, but I don't know how often I'd use it, and it can be really hard to capture the right moment. So the big question then, should you buy the XZ3? Well, I think it's a great phone. It's lovely to use, has a solid battery life, and more camera features than you can shake a stick at. But it's not cheap, and there's a lot of strong competition, including the Galaxy S9 Plus, the new LG V40, and of course the OnePlus 6, or even the upcoming OnePlus 6T, which I think will be a better option for a lot less money. Or maybe even wait for the XZ3 Premium, which will probably only cost $100 more. But if you're a fan of Sony's software, you think HDR and slow-mo video will come in handy, you like the design, and you can't really wait for anything else, then yeah, I do recommend the XZ3. It is a great phone. But what do you think? Would you consider buying it? Let me know in the comments below. I've also put links in the description if you want to check it out, and don't forget to click like and subscribe if you found this video helpful. Thank you so much for watching guys, and I'll catch you next time right here on the Tech Chap.